you mind taking roll?
Certainly. Town of Ashland, Miss Amos.
Here.
Charles City County, Miss Adams. Mr. Mitchell. Chesterfield County, Chair Smith.
Here.
Miss Walker.
Here.
Goochland County, Mr. Longerbeam. Mr. Cash. Hanover County, Mr. Vidunez.
Here.
Thank you. Henrico County, Miss Smidler. Miss Burton. I see we have Miss Austin from Henrico County. Is that
Yes.
correct? Thank
I
you.
am the new alternate replacing Kristen.
Thank you. New Kent County, Miss Inman.
Hi, good afternoon here. And Mark Revlett wanted me to send his regards. I just left a meeting with him.
Thank you. Powhatan County, Mr. Webb.
Here.
City of Richmond, Miss Clark. GRTC, Mr. Adarkwa.
Present.
Miss Robinson. DRPT, Ms. Dubinsky. Mr. Hudson.
Here.
CBTA, Mr. Parsons.
Here.
VDOT, Mr. Totten. Mr. Riblett. Miss McAdory. Plan
Thanks, Lady
RVA.
Hagan. I'm filling in for Mark today.
Thank you. Plan RVA, Mr. Bushing.
Here.
RMTA, Miss Dean. And Virginia Port Authority, Miss Nelson. I believe we do have Miss Nelson. I will mark her as present. And we do have a quorum.
Okay, thank you, Janice.
Mhm.
We'll move on to approval of the June 9th meeting minutes. Has everyone had a chance to review the minutes? And are there any revisions? If there are none, is there a motion to approve?
This is Nora. I move to approve the meeting minutes as presented.
Thanks, Nora. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, Joe, thank you. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. On item 5, public comment period. Is there anyone attending who would like to make a comment? And have we gotten any email correspondence?
We have not.
Okay. We'll close the public comment period. Item number 6, election of CVTA TAC chair and vice chair. I would like to propose that Joe Vidunas serve as the chair for FY26. He's not taken off guard. Chet talked to him earlier today, and I think you're okay with that. Yeah,
If you guys are okay with it, I will be honored. Thank you.
great. Yeah, that would be great. Are there any other nominations for chair? All right. I guess we need to talk about vice chair, or we could do this individually. Do we have any volunteers or nominations for vice chair? I would do vice chair if I can be a backup.
This is Nora. I'd be happy to nominate Barb Smith as vice chair if she's willing to serve.
Okay, that sounds good. I know Joe's got good attendance, so I'm happy to fill that role. Okay. Any other comments from folks or suggestions? Volunteers? I'm happy to not be vice chair if someone wants that opportunity. All right, I don't see anything. I really need to see the list so I can see people raising their hands.
I move to close nominations and take the vote.
Okay, all right, we'll handle this with a voice vote.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
I'm sorry,
Tyrona?
I heard the chair part. I missed the vice chair. I'm sorry.
Barb
Um,
nominated herself and it was seconded.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that.
but I'm happy to let someone else do that. It was just crickets, so.
I think we were caught off guard. Sorry.
All right, well,
Yeah. So
That's
is there
fine.
any
I'll make a
discussion?
motion.
Okay,
No.
thanks.
I think there's already a motion on the table in a second.
okay. All in favor of Joe Vidunas serving as chair and me as vice chair for FY '26? Indicate by saying aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Any abstentions? All right, moving on. Thank you, Joe.
Thanks,
Yes,
Joe.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate that. Next on the item or on the agenda is regional spend down plans. These spend down plans were due June 27th. And I guess Chet will give us a status on the submittals.
Yes, thank you very much. I did want to note that we have received updates or confirmation of no updates from everyone except for Charles City at this point. And I believe that is the Charles City acknowledgement is just a formality. Maybe Sherry may be on vacation or something. So we are in great shape in terms of the spend down plan updates. And I'll share at least the summary page. Everybody see that? So this is updates
Okay, sorry.
as of July 10th. I did want to note I did make a slight alteration to the reports. If you see here, this is a summary which I've just highlighted of the regional allocations through the first 3 rounds of regional funding that had been reported. And then in terms of projects that have active SPAs, we've done a summary and verified it with our fiscal agent of all the reimbursements that have taken place to date, including, I believe our last 2 were from Hanover County, and I think those are captured here, even if, Joe, the reimbursements haven't quite gone out yet. So it's just a kind of a snapshot as of July 10th of where everything stands in terms of each locality that has regional funding and what the status of the reimbursements are for those projects. So, for example, Chesterfield has been very active on the projects that have gotten regional funding. So 2.6 million over, I believe, it's a handful of projects have been reimbursed in that amount. Obviously, the region-wide over here in this far column includes fall line reimbursements. So VDOT has received a significant chunk of reimbursements for Design Build 1 through Hanover County for that project. So that's 8.1 million. Obviously, everybody is in a different place in terms of activating your regionally allocated projects. So we'll continue to update this on a regular basis with updates from everyone as those reimbursements go out. So, Madam Chair, I think that's the update here. Once I get confirmation from Charles City and we have a finalized summary for all 9 jurisdictions, I'll put together an updated spreadsheet for this and send out to all the TAC members, or maybe I'll put it on the members page on the website. That might be the most fruitful thing to do.
Okay, thanks. Tyrona?
Yeah, I just had a quick question on this, Chet. The column that says the VDOT projects distributed geographically, what is that for again?
Yeah, so that's something we did the last, I guess, 6 months ago, or the last time we updated this. We have a tab that VDOT is updating in terms of all the VDOT administered projects. But what we wanted to do, rather than assign those funds and the projects to VDOT, we split it out in terms of which locality the project was actually taking place in. This was something that TAC asked us to do.
Mm-hmm.
We had originally had it showing, so you would see, millions and millions in the VDOT column. But now it shows the distribution of those VDOT administered projects around the region. So you're going to see, additional amounts in wherever those projects are taking place. The region-wide, VDOT is administering fall line projects, but they're actually taking place in localities. So that's why it shows up in region-wide rather than VDOT. Or if it's a particular project in a particular locality that VDOT is administering, like Goochland or Powhatan or somewhere else, it's showing up in that locality rather than as a VDOT number.
Yeah, I'm still a little confused, but because the column over here, the column N says 0. And so you said VDOT's still working on getting you more information there?
Right.
Oh, okay, thanks.
Yeah, I'll go to the VDOT tab. If you look at the projects that VDOT is administering, it's a large number. But it includes all of these projects, and apologize for the small font. So I-64 at Ashland Road in Goochland, VDOT is administering that, but it doesn't show up in column N. It shows up as a Goochland project. So Staples Mill Road and Henrico, Fall on Trail DB1, Shore Pump Area Transportation Improvements, I-64 Gap, those are all VDOT administered. So VDOT is providing the schedules and all of the updates for the spend down plan, as you can see here. But we're showing those funds as being distributed directly for the benefit of those individual localities. And again, this was something that TAC asked us to do, to change the way this is illustrated. Last time we did this update.
Yeah, and that's probably that's why I'm still trying to I'm trying to be clear on what you're stating, and can I see it? Like, if I see the region wide, do I know that? Like, how am I knowing that it's? We can talk offline, because I'm just trying to get clear on why does column N need to come out, or are we still putting something in column N as it is in connection to the column that says the regional wide, which is currently, rolling in VDOTs? I understand that. I just don't know then what we're doing with that column on the N.
Well, that's the summary tab. I'm happy to hide the VDOT column on the front page, essentially. So we've got each one of those columns has its own worksheet. So this is the region wide. So you can see that there's a DB1 column, there's a DB2 column, and there's a DB3 column. Those are all the fall line projects. Obviously, DB3 doesn't have any funding anymore. That all went into DB2. But then you've got there's a column for Powhatan Goochland, because that includes 288, which spans 2 jurisdictions. And then each locality has their own. Richmond has your own projects at Manchester Bridge, Mayo Island, Whole Street Phase 2, et cetera, et cetera. These are all just, they all collapse down into that summary tab, or the summary worksheet that I showed you in the beginning.
Okay. We'll digest this a little. Nora, do you have a question?
It's hard to see, so I might not be reading it right. But do Henrico and New Kent get the same amount of allocation, like funds? If so, bravo, New Kent.
It's broken out that way. Yeah, essentially, I didn't even notice that. It's essentially the same. The New Kent funds include the I-64 widening project. So that's why there's that equality there.
So this isn't just the funds, I'm sorry, I think I was confused. So this isn't the quarterly funds that we get, like the local percentage. This is the
No.
regional allocation. So the projects that the regional
Projects.
projects.
That's
I'm
right.
sorry, I was
This
confused.
is all the regional allocations.
Okay, sorry. Thank you.
Yep. Joe?
Yes, so I'm not picking on New Kent, I just kind of inquiring, make sure we're all doing the same thing. So in FY 24, the distribution or the payments were equal amounts, which to me sounds like those are still the estimates and not reflective of the actual expenditures during that period.
That's a VDOT question.
Yeah,
I think
so
that goes back, oh, sorry, you may raise my
oh,
hand.
go ahead, Amy.
Oh, okay. I think, Joe, that's a good question, but I think those were the original payment schedules, Chet, for the I-64 widening.
That's definitely I-64, yes. That's gap segment A.
I think that must have been on the schedule for how they were allocating the money.
A lot of
But-
times, oh, go ahead.
Well, this does go back to I guess the question that I had maybe a meeting or two ago about reporting from VDOT so that we can see what Cvta sees, right? So we know what's being drawn down if it's in our locality.
I'm wondering whether, a lot of times with VDOT, they want to get upfront payments. And so is this what the the project agreement is reflecting? That you would pay them, the CVTA would pay them $13.3 million every quarter that they would use towards 64? Is that the agreement, Jet? Terms of
No,
the agreement?
the SPA is the same as a locality agreement.
So they
it's a
get
ran-
reimbursed.
They get reimbursed, yes.
That's
It is weird.
interesting because
Yeah, they get reimbursements.
oftentimes they want the money up front. We have to operate on reimbursement, but my larger point in that, I'll just finish up real quickly, is that, everything that's passed, I would recommend that we reflect as actual expenditures. So what are we, we're in line 19, FY 26. So everything above that presumably should be reflective of the actual, since we don't have to project from that point. So that's why I zeroed in on those figures for New Kent, because that looked like what was anticipated. You don't really know what the expenses are going to be, so you say, okay, we'll divide it by 4, and in that quarter, that sounds about right.
Mhm.
That's it. Thank you.
Madam
Okay.
Chair,
Yes, Chet?
if Joe is willing, I could use Hanover's report as an example.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. By all means.
Okay.
Hopefully, it's
So
right.
this is what Hanover submits, and they've color coded it based on phase, PE right away, utility construction. Hold on, what did it say?
Yeah, you got it right.
So if everyone is willing, this does provide a lot more information in terms of project status and actual spend. And then we could add a line indicator to show, actual versus estimate as we move through each quarter.
And I'll just add, Chet, the reason that we do this is not to make additional work, but it makes it easier when I go back and look at it and go, well, why did I break it up the way I've broken it up? And it also helps me kind of account for the dollars to make sure that it's in balance with what we're getting regional wise, and it's just an extra visual aid. It's not anything more than that
Okay,
as far as
Yeah,
time
Chet.
goes too. Yeah.
would you mind sending that out? Um,
It's on,
Yeah,
Well,
as
you
I
know-
it's
said,
on the
once,
portal.
once I get confirmation from Charles City, I'll send this entire thing out to everybody.
And Madam Chair,
Yes, Dorana?
yeah, if I could, I think to Amy's point, Chet, this is what I think we need to get VDOT to do as well. Because would reveal some of the information that, the locality would want to see on the project's progress.
Do they provide this information, Chet?
Yeah,
Okay. So
yeah,
they
yeah,
update
that's,
this spin down when you get it, when we do?
yes,
Okay.
yep, that's all in here.
But I think that's where we're at, Chet, with the rounded number for each of those quarters. How realistic are those dollar amounts? And my final question to it is, so the numbers that are reflected in the VDOT for those FY24, all those are the actual amounts that they did spend?
Madam Chair, Larry's on the call. I mean, I think VDOT is providing the best available information they can. So we can certainly, ask everybody to take one other final look at this to make sure
Yeah,
it reflects. Yeah,
it does seem like that they haven't been updated. I don't
They
know.
have been. I did the work. It's Larry. I mean, it's still a work where we look at what's been spent. We look at the amount of Cvta funding available, compare that to the schedule and the estimate, and then all the other fund sources on these projects. It's a little more complicated for us to do this exercise because of the multiple fund sources, in addition to VDOT policy, Cvta SPA agreement in terms of which funding should be spent first, and what should remain on there last. It's just, our best estimate in terms of when we think we would be spending or need to spend the Cvta original funds. Now, we could go back and take a look, certainly, and identify any actual expenditures that we've made and try to reflect them in that spreadsheet versus just kind of keeping it as the estimate that it has been. I mean, yeah, I can take another look at it that way. Sure, that would add more clarity for everyone. No problem.
Yeah, I think that's really the issue is that we've got FY24 numbers that are all identical. And they ought to be reflecting actuals.
And
Yeah,
if
and-
so, do they move down? Like if you haven't spent it, does it, move down to a later FY year? Larry, is maybe
Yes,
what you need
that's
to
what
shift it
happened.
down. Yeah, just
Yep,
shift it
that's
down.
exactly what happened. Yep,
Yeah, I would
reduced.
do that. Yeah.
Yeah, if you compared what you're looking at here versus what we did a year ago, it's different because schedules have changed. It's not exactly the same. It's definitely updated. It
we'll
could
double
be,
check on
yeah.
our end too.
Mhm.
Okay. Amy?
Okay, great. Thank you, Madam Chair. Quick question. This may have to do with the bigger picture, but for the overall allocations program that coming out of the last round, does this reflect any, I guess, are there projects that were expected to advance that haven't advanced? And does this schedule also reflect that, right? So if a project was expected to advance in fiscal year 26 and we had money programmed in fiscal year 26, but the project isn't advancing, where do we find that information? And likewise, do we know if there are projects that could advance if they had the resources programmed? Like they are maybe ahead of schedule. So I don't know that necessarily directly, it kind of relates to the spin down, but it also is the bigger picture of where's the money, how's this money being actually, is it actually being used when we thought it was going to be used?
Chet?
I I think I understand the question. So the current process is that we're on a 2-year cycle for regional funding. The allocation plan that is adopted by the board is a point in time understanding of what regional funds are going to what projects. So that last one was following round 3 last spring. And what we need to do is following round 4, the next time that a round of funding is proposed, which will be spring of 26, that allocation plan will be updated. And when that's done, we'll do a dive through each line, each CBTA project that receives regional funds and get the current status of that, and then redo the allocation plan based on existing projects plus all new proposed projects. And I think at that point is when we'll have an up-to-date snapshot of current project status, whether it's moving forward as a fully funded project or it's getting leveraging and what the status is of for other funding sources and the two attempts and all of that kind of all the nuance that's contained in the prioritization framework. That next spring will be the next full round of an adopted allocation plan.
And we can probably talk about it with, we're submitting regional project quarterly reports. So reports on every project that's got CVTA regional and the schedule. So it'll show the original schedule that was in the agreement and then revised dates. So you'll be able to see with those project quarterly reports, the progress that's being made,
On
at least
existing,
from a time perspective.
yeah.
Yes.
So projects that are actually moving forward. I was kind of
Versus
wondering,
leverage. Mhm.
yeah, I was kind of wondering about projects that have funding on them for this current allocation plan that aren't moving forward, right? So I think, Chet, you were asking previously, hey, are you using this money? If not, could we put it in an interest-bearing account? I was just wondering if this is an opportunity to kind of reconcile sort of where we thought we would be with the 6-year program. And that may have something to do with leverage and and it may not, but I was just wondering if that was a check-in point to know if there are projects out there that could move forward if we move the money up, right? They might not have enough money programmed, let's say in this fiscal year, but if they had the money and we moved the money up, they could move the project forward. Do you see what I'm saying? And vice versa. If they don't need the money, then are we somehow obligated to reconcile the years the funding is actually allocated? Because I think we have a large amount of money that's sitting there is what I feel. And
Yeah,
we
I don't
moving
think we
projects
have,
forward?
I don't think we have cash flow problems that are causing projects that are fully programmed to
Okay.
sit waiting. Because like you said, we've got like leveraging money that's really not being used. It's
Right.
just earmarked that can be shifted around
Yeah.
to make sure we've got the cash flow. But you said something else. What was the other part? See, that's what happens when you get ahead of yourself.
Well, it's okay. I just wondered if it was a check-in point. We're looking at our project now, and our funding agreements with VDOT and what our expectation is with CVTA funding and their SPA with VDOT on our project. And we just want to make sure that the money is available when it is needed, but that we're not tying up money now that's allocated. If another project needed the money and we needed to swap money out, this would be an opportunity to do that. If there's a project out there that couldn't advance, you know what I'm saying? So it doesn't sound like we have that problem. So maybe that's not an exercise we really need to go through. And if it is a problem, somebody's going to speak up and say, hey, will you swap out money with me?
Yeah. And like Chet said, every year when they're programming, they're looking at schedules and adjusting. So if a project is front loaded and not spending fast enough, there's ways to shift.
Thank you.
Okay, good question. Okay, regional spend down plans. I think we're all good. I don't see any more questions on that. But if everyone would take a look at prior fiscal years and make sure that your spend down is reflecting actuals, that would be good. Item 8 on the agenda, round 4, regional fund applications. So the CVTA regional application cycle is open and closes on the 31st. I think I've got that date right. Midnight,
That's right.
right, Chet?
Yes.
Good.
So
Can you-
yeah,
Midnight
this
on the 29th
I think it's the
31st.
31st at
or the
midnight.
31st? Okay. Do we need to have board resolutions? I didn't see a spot for that. Or is it just,
No,
no, I didn't think so.
no, not necessary.
Okay.
I asked the chair to put this on the agenda just so we could have a check-in. We're halfway through the application cycle. Does anybody have anything you wanted to raise? Any difficulties getting in? I have had outreach from a couple jurisdictions that wanted to add additional people to the member page so that your staff could get into the application. And I think we've done that for the most part. It's a pretty simple process. So if you have somebody else on your team that you wanted to include, please just send me an email with that person's information and the request, and we'll be happy to do that. I did have a question directly from Sharon, I believe, and Ashley from Henrico about understanding what the components of the application were. If you did a round 3 application, it's essentially the same. But if you go into the actual job form template, you can hit next through all the questions without anything being submitted and see all of the different components of the application, just so you know ahead of time, and then you can back out and start again. So that should be a good preview of everything that's included. Other than that, Madam Chair, I don't think I've had other questions from people directly.
Okay, got a few hands raised, so we've got some for you now. Amy?
Okay, great. Thanks, Madam Chair. Do we need to submit projects through this round that we're wanting to have included in the bonding, or is that going to be a separate conversation about? Because I know there's a question, I think there might be a yes or no question in the application that says, is this requesting bonding or not? So I'm not clear if we're going to have another, I guess, cycle, or how we're going to handle the bonding projects.
So I do know we have our candidate bond project submittal due on August 1st, the next day.
Right.
Chet, how does it
That's right.
work? Should 2 separate things, or should the candidate bond projects be submitted as well?
We wanted to provide flexibility here. So if you want to submit your bond project as a regional project as well, please feel free to do that. That's why I believe that question was included. But there isn't a formalized application for the bond projects. We just want to, at this point, in terms of the bond package, we really just wanted to understand the bottom line, to understand the breadth of what we might be considering putting forward to the financial market. We'll obviously ask for more detail on particular projects as that process moves forward, but it's separate as much as we can make it from this round 4 regional fund.
Okay. Dirana?
Yep, thank you. I think I can remember. Oh, it was about the round 4 applications access. Chet, is there a way because we have consultants that we would love to be able to enter in this Is there like, can I send an email and say, here's the name and then access until like the 31st of July? Can I do that? Or is it not that simple?
That's a good question. I mean, I guess
And can you give restrictive access only to the application? I guess would be the question.
I don't know. I don't know what the answer to that is. I think we'd have to look into that because I don't want to give consultants unrestricted access to the member portal. If we can, I'll pledge to get back to you on that. We'll see what the process would be to give them access.
Yeah, and if not,
Um,
I'll just provide you with another staff name. But yeah, just check. Thank you.
If we can, I'd prefer to do that, Dorena,
Okay, I can
and
do that.
have that staff person submit this consultant
Okay,
data.
I got it. No problem.
Thanks.
All right. We did touch on candidate bond projects being due on August 1st as well. So that sounds like it's just an email, but you can submit it through this application process as well. And Joe, you know, I probably was supposed to turn this meeting over to you.
Well,
I thought about that, but you were on a roll, so I said, just let her go. Thank you.
Okay,
we're so used to you, Barb.
well, I'll turn it over next month.
Okay.
Amy?
Well, okay, thanks. Sorry. Well, not to belabor this point, but it does kind of raise a question. I mean, we may want to submit something for the bond package that might not necessarily be something that we would necessarily expect to be qualified for regional funding, right? So is that going to skew the project scoring if we put in projects for the bond, right? And you know, we've already received some leverage money, but we want potentially some funding to go towards bonding, right? But so I guess how's that going to be handled? I mean, are you going to put it in I mean, I know last time we had some giant projects, right? Hundreds of millions of dollars that dwarfed the program. So we all said those are bonding type projects. So if those are going to again be included in this round, is that going to skew the overall scoring of projects that are going to advance and not just be sort of an outlier in the overall project list and scoring?
I
So are
think
you going to
that's
be
a
serious
question.
about it or not? I guess is what I'm saying. You're either going to be serious about it. It's actually a serious project that can reasonably be funded through this next round of CVTA, or it's not, right? And if it's not, then that would be a potential candidate project for bonding. But if that project gets included, that clearly it skews the overall scoring. And that's not fair to projects that can actually advance through this funding program.
Yeah. I was under the impression that these were two separate
Yeah, so
exercises.
that's why I
So
want
I
to be
was
clear about
surprised.
this.
Yeah, surprised to hear it
I
being
want to be
folded
clear
in.
about this because I think it's unfair to projects. That's why I wouldn't necessarily want to put in something that I would want to go into the bonding package through this application cycle, because I think it would cause problems and I think it would skew the overall scoring.
So Chet, how were you handling that with the scoring?
I'm sorry, I'm a little confused. So the scoring for round 4?
Yeah, so if someone submits a project that is a candidate bond project, but submits it with the round 4 applications and clicks the button that says, I guess there's a button that says bond candidate. Is
Just
that what you're
submit.
saying?
No, it's just a yes or no.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Are you gonna take those out of the whole scoring the scoring for all the other projects, or is it gonna be skewing results?
I don't think it was, I mean, it wasn't intended to skew anything. The yes or no question in the application was basically a point of information to understand locality priorities. Like if you're putting project X into round 4, and it's also your number 1 transportation priority that you might include in a bond package, that would be useful information for the board when they're making decisions on round 4, as well as the bond. It's not asking for data or anything in terms of scoring for the bond. But if you have a project that you're submitting as a local priority in round 4, it's going to be scored just the same as any other project that would be submitted.
Because typically when we're submitting applications, we take a look at how much money is available.
Right.
And try to submit projects that fit, like we're not gonna, for CMAQ and RS or CMAQ projects, right? We're not gonna submit a $20 million project. That's just unreasonable.
Hopefully. Yeah.
And so with round 4, we know there's about 135 million available. So we're gonna submit applications that fit that. But you're saying we should be submitting candidate bond projects that could be $500 million.
I didn't say anything about price tag.
Well, that's what we're trying to get you to consider.
So we're trying to understand, because to
Like,
me,
how's that gonna work?
I think the way the scoring works is you're ranking on the project's merit based relative to all other projects. So if you have a project that far exceeds the program's ability to fund that project, and it would be a candidate bonding project, that potentially skews the overall score of all the other projects. It might be relative, but it might not. Last time we had some projects that were asking for 60, $70 million, if I'm not mistaken, and these were, hundreds of millions of dollar projects. So to me, this program can't manage that level of funding for projects. And that would be, but the bonding package might be able to.
Deborah?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I mean, I think that we did discuss this, and it was, discussed that box would be in our round 4 application. I think what we're talking about is something that we're just going to have to put fundamentally on the parking lot list, and that is, limits on the project request during these cycles. Because as much as we say, Barb, hey, we know it's a limited amount of money available, there was the same limited amount in round 3, and that didn't stop folks from putting in $90 million requests. And I don't think, and so if we don't want to limit that ability or put a cap on it, then the locality decides and takes the risk of what's that's going to do to the scoring. So I don't know that we have that ability to limit the project dollar cap by the process itself. So again, if somebody wants to submit in round 4, they know it's only 120 million available, but if they still want to submit 100 million, 200 million, whatever million project they want, I think that is the given ability of this process. And if we want to take that away or limit it, then I think the framework is where we should do that limitation and talk through with our leadership. But yeah, and of course we always think of these things right outside of when the parking lot is closed for the year. And it's something that directly is impacting us with a bonding cycle potentially coming up, as well as a regular round of regional funding. So I think that right now we're just gonna have to take, because even like I say, I'm saying this because even in round 3, I was like, hey, it's only X amount of dollars. And when I saw some of the project requests from our peers, I was like, hey, I should have just asked for whatever I thought I could do. So I think that you can't really, it's the bigger conversation. We need to do it as a group and say, is there a cap based on the limited funding? And of course, it's probably going to be great that we do it after these cycles, as the bonding, if we bond actually and it impacts the dollar amount, we're going to come with an even smaller pot of regional dollars annually that we may just need to realistically put, how much you can ask on potentially. I don't know.
It's fair.
Okay.
That's a
All
fair
right,
one.
we'll have that as a parking lot item.
Yeah,
And we'll just see how things shake out this
that's
round.
fair.
And certainly we'll have the information to know which projects are candidate bond projects, and we can pull them out if we need to or whatever.
So one last point on that, Madam Chair.
Mhm.
I think this will work. Like, as I said earlier, it was the yes, no question was included as a point of information only. If you don't want to answer it, I think you could still advance and submit without saying yes or no. So I don't know if that would help or not, but that I think that flexibility is there.
Okay, thank you. All righty. So moving on to item 9, June meeting follow-up. There's a lot of
Okay.
different stuff in here.
Yeah, so this was just, I sent, I believe, 2 different emails following up after the June meeting with different points of information. The first one was, did I send it? First one had two points on there. One was about round 4 available funds. We understand that there, and you said this earlier, Barb, there's roughly 135 million in available funds for round 4, through round 4, and that will be out to FY32. So just that email had some additional information. Cvta follows guidance from the state code that calls for regional funding plan for a 46-year period. Because of 64, we actually have extended that now to about 7 years is what our planning window is for that allocation plan. And so what I provided in that email was the amounts of available funding expected per fiscal year. Those are dictated by current project commitments and projected tax revenues. So if you recall that process, the revenues are provided to us. The estimates are provided every December timeframe. December, I believe it's always been December by the state, and we use those to provide revenue projections for the localities for the region. So 135 million for the region is what we're looking at in terms of available funds for round 4. You may hit each one of these, or you want to
Yeah.
stop for questions? Okay. So
Well, yeah, I'll keep an eye out for questions and let you know.
okay. The next one was deallocation impacts. I shared in that same email a spreadsheet, which hopefully everybody was able to access. The timing for looking at that information is a little bit premature at the time. Now that the CTB has voted on the 6-year program, we have a better idea of projects that were successful in round 6 of Smart Scale and those that weren't. But the spreadsheet I provided current funding attempt and conditions for deallocation. And let me open that. I can share it. This has not been updated since the CTB meeting. But here's what we've got. So there are a handful of projects that have gone through attempt 1. And the expected results from round 6 of Smart Scale were provided in that table. So this is just kind of again, a snapshot of where we were at the time. We could certainly go through and take a look at this in terms of these projects and attempt number 2 to see where things stand. but let me go back to make sure I have that email.
Yeah, what was the date of your email? With that spreadsheet in there?
It was June 12th,
Okay, thanks.
and I think we met on the 9th, so it was that same week. Yeah, so I guess in terms of that, I would say what I provided may now be outdated. So I think we need to take a look following the results of the round 6 decision, and I can share that back out with everyone if that makes sense.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay. Projects, I'm going to just go through each of the items in the email. Project allowable in the 24-month bond window. So this was related to what projects you propose. Each locality should bring forward candidate projects that represent their highest priority unfunded needs. Place emphasis on advancing projects that have a high probability of funds being spent in an initial 24-month window. And proposing projects that will benefit from available bond proceeds due to lack of other funding sources. This is the approach that we need to take, because this is what will be most attractive when putting forth a package for consideration by the bond market. Essentially projects that are ready to go, that don't need a whole lot of legwork still. Funds are going to be spent essentially when they're provided a 24-month window in terms of our world. And projects that will benefit directly from bond proceeds as opposed to, a lot of other funding sources or other kinds of needs to make sure that those projects are moving forward. And then, okay, what else did I have on the agenda? Reporting dates. So that's in the member portal now. Hopefully everyone's been able to look at that. I basically put together a PDF of all the guidelines for when quarterly reports are due, whether those are regional or local quarterly reports, and that other information. And I can open that right now and share that.
Has everyone had a chance to go into the member portal and poke around?
Yes.
Or, okay.
So yeah, here's the memo that I put in there.
And the last item on that memo is regional project quarterly reporting.
Yes.
Regional spend down plans. Is there a page 2?
That's not even in here. I believe in the email that was related to the spend down, we had said every 6 months. That was the original expectation.
So you're going to add that to this reporting date?
Yeah, I could do that.
document?
Sure. Yep. But I think the thing for everyone to focus on here is, well, today is July 14th, but the intent for the local quarterly reporting and the regional quarterly reporting was to have it basically 2 weeks, within 2 weeks after the end of the quarter for each fiscal year. So the quarter ended June 30th for quarter 4 of FY25. So if you have not submitted, and I don't believe many people have yet, use the folder on the website you can submit directly into our SharePoint your report, and it'll automatically tag the locality, whoever it's coming from, or VDOT, and then we'll be able to compile that on an ongoing basis by quarter. Just a quick review, the local quarterly reporting, the spreadsheet is a uniform template that is accessible from the member page. It's the one that has the vertical columns with each quarter shown. So you should be able to just update the same spreadsheet over time by the current quarter. And that is what eventually goes into the local certification of funds being spent. That's the other thing that everyone should have in line now is for your the one-page local certification that we do on an annual basis. That should be getting into the workflow for your board meeting or your administrator, whatever the local decision is for who signs that. But the local expenditures build into that annual certification.
Okay. Anybody have questions on these follow-up items? Before we move along, I did want to mention a conversation Chet and I had today about reimbursement request. The format for reimbursement request includes the Appendix A and B that are part of the project agreement. And because we will be or are just beginning to submit regular quarterly reports on projects, we're submitting to Chet updates to the Appendix A. So in my mind, we have in the reimbursement request the original Appendix A that's part of the agreement. And then Chet is able to get our quarterly updates that we've submitted to be able to show the progress that's being made with the projects. I think, Chet, you were wanting us to update it in the reimbursement request as well. But I think if you consider that Appendix A, that's part of the reimbursement, just a reflection of what the agreement shows, and then have the quarterly report as the status report, you've got all the information that you need to make people satisfied when they're signing off on the reimbursement request.
Yeah, so that's a thank you for bringing that back up. I think that part of the reason why we're updating this the regional quarterly reporting is directly because the reimbursement requests have raised some questions, because the original dates, especially that were included in the SPA agreement, sometimes get outdated because life happens and projects aren't always proceeding as expected. So one of the things we did was to update Appendix A, and this is what you all should be able to be downloading from the member portal. It looks essentially the same as what is included in the SPA, except it includes a box here in the middle for additional text on summarizing the project, so that the elected officials on the finance committee understand, they can look at this and directly understand what the project is and what it does. And then in the schedule, the anticipated date was supposed to be the date that was originally included in the SPA when the agreement was signed, whenever that SPA was adopted. In the quarterly reporting, there's also an option to revise that date as necessary, and then show when that date was revised. So basically an update for the elected officials on the finance committee to see that, right-of-way acquisition is delayed for some reason. We now don't expect it in fourth quarter of FY24. It's going to be first quarter of 26. So that additional change. And then I guess my expectation, Barb, was that this updated Appendix A is going to be in the hands of the localities, and when reimbursements are submitted, that this latest information could be swapped in to the reimbursement request rather than the original Appendix A.
I think it's good just having the original because it's reflecting what the agreement said. And when we drop this into the SharePoint folder with you, then you have access to it and can include it
I
with the
can,
reimbursement request.
yes. I guess my fear, if I could share that, is that these may not always be updated every quarter. And I could see a situation where on our side, once the reimbursement request is received, we might not have the most current Appendix A to include as a supplemental device. For
But aren't you
consideration by
going to
the-
make
by the
sure
board.
that you get the quarterly reports from everyone?
Well, I hope so. Yeah, but I can't
Okay.
twist your arm. I mean, yes, we would assume that everyone will be submitting updates on a regular basis for everybody who has an active regional project.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like if you get a reimbursement request and you don't have a current quarterly report, then you'd need to call the locality and ask for a updated quarterly report
Yep.
before it
We could-
moves forward.
Yeah, we can move forward like this and see how it works.
Okay. All right, CBTA TAC member comments. Does anyone have any comments? All right, our next meeting is August 11th and Joe Vidunas will chair that meeting starting at 1 o'clock. Yay! All right, thank you, everyone. Have a great
I-
afternoon.
Thank you.